Hello everyone, I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day with your Public Lands Council weekly weather update for this July 9th, 2022, brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors and WSR Insurance Services Incorporated. Well, as we take a look at the next week ahead, a couple of things to point out. We're going to have some hot weather, going to be plenty warm. July warm across most of the nation's central and western United States, especially in the Rockies and western high plains. The deeper monsoon moisture, which has been providing some good rain to some of you, shower and thunderstorm activity over the southwest United States, parts of the Rockies. We're going to see the monsoon not go away completely, but there's going to be a little bit of an interruption in the monsoon flow. It's not permanent, though. It'll come back. Typical July weather is really the best way to describe the next week ahead. Take a look at the latest drought monitor. We continue to see some concerns. Parts of the Corn Belt here seeing worsening conditions in northwest Iowa, northeastern Nebraska, although some areas have picked up some rain. They've also picked up some good rains over the last few days in this area right here. But across the desert southwest, here in the western high plains, there's a narrow area here in eastern areas of Colorado, southeastern Wyoming, western Nebraska, and Kansas that really need to get more rain. And I think there's more coming. And over this past week, before this drought monitor was updated, there was some good rain across portions of eastern Colorado and western Kansas here, and we continue to have severe drought conditions back into the Great Basin and desert southwest areas. And over the last week, we've only seen some modest improvements in Montana and parts of the western Dakotas and western areas of Nebraska and a few locations in Colorado and Arizona. Here's where the rain has fallen over the last week. Some real helpful rains up here, especially in Montana, up in the north central Montana that really needed it, and then parts of southeastern Wyoming and parts of Colorado back in the southwest United States. There's been more rain from that monsoonal moisture flow. And you can see the precipitation anomaly over the past week actually shows that the last week is brought above normal precipitation for the week in those blue and green areas there. But notice the brown across Oklahoma, Texas, eastern New Mexico, West Texas areas here. This will be a concern as well as parts of the eastern Corn Belt going into the next week or so. And you can see the soil moisture anomaly. You can see how poor the soil moisture profile is in an area right here, kind of a T shape across Texas, eastern Colorado, southeastern Wyoming, western Kansas, and parts of Nebraska, then back into the desert southwest, while the soil moisture has really improved across parts of the Pacific Northwest and parts of the northern plains states here, as well as parts of the northern Rockies and northern plains. And then you can see the monsoon rains helping out here. Taking a look at satellite imagery here at the beginning of the forecast period, wanted to show you this red and orange area here. This is the drier air that's going to basically interrupt the monsoon moisture flow, which is the grayness you see in this satellite imagery. It's going to be more directed this weekend into early next week into the Corn Belt and Midwest, while a drier air mass comes into the central Rockies, desert southwest, and other areas. But notice we still have the grayness. This basically shows where the higher humidity air is going to be this weekend and into early next week. So the northern plains and the far northern Rockies will be able to see some showers and thunderstorms. And you can see it here on our forecast map. For this coming weekend, there's going to be showers and thunderstorms, some severe, across Montana into the Dakotas, while heat builds in the central Rockies. This green arrow represents the shunting of the subtropical moisture flow going more westward. It will eventually get caught up in the high pressure here and come back up to the north and east. But we're going to see a lot of hot weather this weekend into early next week across the central high plains and Rockies and parts of the Great Basin states. As we look ahead to next weekend, though, notice there's a high pressure ridge beginning to reform over the southern plains, still extending back into the southwestern United States. But the flow of air around this high starts to come back this way. So by next weekend and the following week, we see that monsoon moisture flow getting deeper again and surging back to the north. So while there's a bit of an interruption in the monsoon moisture flow, it is going to come back right around the 18th, 19th, 20th of July and all the way through the end of July. I do think the West is going to have an active thunderstorm pattern again, which could bring some beneficial rains and kind of keep temperatures from staying too hot for too long. Over the next week, you can see the precipitation forecast. That arc of precipitation right here is not as extensive as it's been. And so over the next week, there will be western precipitation, but it's going to be a lot more spotty and a lot more wildly scattered than over the last few weeks. but as we get to the week after this one, we'll see that return. And speaking of temperatures, you can see all the orange here in the western high plains into central areas of Canada. Most of the central and western United States will be pretty warm, at least relative to the 30-year averages, especially in parts of Nebraska, the Dakotas, eastern Colorado, northwest Kansas here, while a good part of the Midwest and the eastern part of the United States is actually going to be, over the next week, a little cooler than average. Our next update will be the 16th. Have a great week ahead.